Hi, everybody. We're live. Does Cam, the technical guru, say we're live on Facebook and YouTube? So I guess we're live. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, October 10th. I'm Jill Simonian from PragerU Kids. We are live on Facebook and YouTube in our usual parent and educator forums. As I like to say, I say hello to everyone live here so that we can stay updated about what's happening in kids' education. And this week, there's a lot going on. As usual, in the beginning of the school year, I always used to say, as a mom, as a parent, that I was going to stay positive and proactive and focus on the things that we can do to give our kids a good education based in knowledge. And I was super focused on doing all of those positive, proactive things, such as subscribing to PragerUkids.com, as I already have, and I hope that you have too, to continue to get updates and give our kids free videos and magazines, educational magazines that they can learn from on our website, PragerUkids.com. But from time to time, we do have to address certain things that are happening in our education system that parents need to be aware of. And first of all, tell me where you're from in the comments. Let's get that going. I want to find out if you're in California, in Idaho, in Florida. I want to find out if you're in some of the states that have approved PragerU Kids as supplemental material in their schools. Yes, we continue to celebrate that. Montana, Oklahoma, Florida, New Hampshire, all of those states have linked arms with us to offer our PragerU Kids materials as free supplemental educational materials for students kindergarten through 12th grade. So tell me where you're at. But in the meantime, I want to get to the headline, as I'm sure it probably caught your attention. This week in Los Angeles Unified School District. Now, I know not everyone is in California. Yes, we are here based in California in Los Angeles, and I know that not everyone is from California, but as we are learning very quickly these past few years, what happens in California tends to bleed like a virus, if you will. I shouldn't be laughing about that because it's serious, but it tends to bleed to the rest of the country. So this week, if you don't already know, Los Angeles Unified School District, LAUSD, is celebrating Coming Out Week for TK, transitional kindergarten students, as young as 4 years old. Let's remember that TKers start the school year in September at the age of 4 and turn 5 sometime between September and December, all through the 12th grade. So LAUSD, TK through 12th grades this week, October 9th through the 13th, 2023, is Coming Out Week with specialized curriculum. And I just want to show you what is happening. If we can go to my screen right now, those of you who are watching, I'm going to pull this up on the screen. This is actually a tweet from a few weeks ago from Libs of TikTok's account. You've probably already seen it, but in the upper right-hand corner, it's got LAUSD, and then it has, co-sponsored by HRDE, SHHS. What do those stand for? I cannot read that far. Let me take a look. Human Relations. I can't even see if you can see it. But anyways, it's the Rainbow Club conducted on Zoom, and this has been going on reportedly since September 13th through November 15th, 2023. This is offered to Los Angeles Unified School District parents. This is not a surprise, but I'll tell you what it is here. A 10-week district-wide virtual club for LGBTQ plus elementary school students, their friends, and their grown-ups. Notice they said they're grown-ups and not their parents. Call me a, crazy mom, but whenever I see something that says they're grown-ups, they're caregivers, they're safe adult, it's always very strange to me. Because as we all know, as parents and educators, there was a time when schools encouraged parental involvement. They encouraged that parents be involved with their children's education. They encouraged that parents ask the teachers questions and email them and come to meetings. And they used to identify them as parents, but now they are known as grown-ups. So here we go. Here's the Zoom link. This was public information distributed to parents weeks ago, encouraging them to log on to Zoom Wednesdays, 3:15 to 4:15 p.m. And it says that the Rainbow Club is for elementary school students and their loved ones from 3:15 to 3:30. We set aside time for caregivers and educators to ask questions and learn about the group. And then at 3:30 p.m., our student-centered space for children as young as 4 years old begins. Guests of students are always welcome. And then they have the information. So we knew that LAUSD was promoting rainbow clubs like this. And before I go any further, I do want to, again, make the statement. This is not, I'm speaking very personally here. This has nothing to do with LGBTQ community. This has nothing to do with the gay community. This has nothing to do with not wanting students or parents not wanting students whose parents happen to be gay. This has nothing, this is not nothing to do with quote unquote hating the gay community. I'm bringing this to light because I, as a mother, personally don't understand why a 4-year-old why it might be appropriate for a 4-year-old to log on to a Zoom call and talk about issues that are founded upon sexuality. That does not make sense to me as a mother. I do not hate the gay community. People I know who are speaking against clubs like this do not hate the gay community. That is not even an issue that's on the table for discussion because that hate does not exist, truly. But what does exist is a strange and inappropriate obsession with getting children as young as 4 to log on to a Zoom meeting in a student-centered group to talk about sexuality topics. So this right here was started, it's reportedly underway now as we are in the middle of October, but I want to bring you to something specifically that's happening in LAUSD schools this particular week. And this is article that I'm pulling up now is from foxla.com. LA elementary schools begin week of LGBTQ plus lessons. So the article, I'm just going to scroll down and read you a bit of it. October marks LGBTQ History Month. Okay, that's news to me, actually. I guess that's different from Pride Month in June. But October, as foxla.com states, coincides with National Coming Out Day, and the Los Angeles Unified School District has introduced suggested lesson plans aimed at fostering inclusivity and educating students about LGBTQ plus topics. LGBTQ plus topics, I ask, that are centered around sex, who you're attracted to, who you're sexually attracted to. These types of things are not appropriate in schools. We know that as parents and reasonable educators. Fox LA continues, these lesson plans have sparked both support and controversy among parents and educators. And the Board of Education at LAUSD has provided elementary teachers with a week-long curriculum designed to coincide with National Coming Out Day. While the district emphasized that the initiative is not solely about National Coming Out Day for children, National Coming Out Day for children, I have children who are in the preteen age range, and their minds are not on sexual attraction. Okay. I'm just saying this as a mother here. I'm a mom. Yes, I am one of the personalities at PragerUkids.com, and I do the story time and I do the craft shows about history, but I'm also a mom in real life who has children who I'm very close with my kids, and they're not talking about and thinking about who they are sexually attracted to. Okay, that's not an age appropriate thing that kids have. Kids are not sexual beings unless you instruct them and tell them that they are. in the curriculum, I'm going on with the article, detailed in a toolkit. So LAUSD has created a toolkit for teachers to talk about sexualized topics. This toolkit encompasses various activities and discussions centered on identity. Students are encouraged to explore questions such as, who am I? And what does it mean to feel good about myself and celebrate others? One of the activities involves creating an identity map to facilitate these discussions. Again, for children as young as 4 years old. You've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you're looking at my screen, I've pulled it up here. Week of action. Elementary. So this is for elementary school students. This is created specifically for elementary school students. You see on Friday, there is, I pledge to be an ally. An ally for a sexualized subject matter? I'm just asking these questions as a reasonable parent who does not understand the obsession about talking to children about sexual topics. I'm scrolling down on the article because I want to share a little bit more before I go on. One prominent aspect of the curriculum is the Pledge of Allyship, which encourages students to commit to using kind and inclusive language when referring to teachers, staff, classmates, and their families, regardless of their differences. I know another type of a pledge that does that. I'm just going to say the Pledge of Allegiance, together as Americans, e pluribus unum, together as one, through our differences. This article here that describes the LAUSD toolkit for celebrating and teaching about Coming Out Week talks about the children giving a pledge of an allyship regardless of their differences. In America, we are allies together through our differences, no matter what your difference happens to be. Gay, not gay, black, white, Mexican, Filipino, whatever. Through our differences, there's no more allyship, I will say, more powerful than being an American together. Yet our schools, and particularly LAUSD this week, mid-October, is obsessed with requiring students to figure out and forcefully instruct them to determine who they are sexually attracted to and then make a pledge according to that type of sexual attraction. This makes no sense. No matter how much we discuss this, this makes zero sense. I have a solution. Try the Pledge of Allegiance. Stop making it controversial. It's really not. Try the Pledge of Allegiance. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That includes all differences. I have another solution when talking about inclusivity. And parents, please, I encourage you to continue to go to your school boards and communicate with your educators. When they force inclusivity on you, you throw it right back and say everyone is already included in the United States of America. And the solution to creating a true inclusive school climate is that you include all points of view. And you include even the people who don't think it's appropriate to talk about sexualized topics with 5-year-olds, especially from a teacher to a child. If I were to go and talk about sex and who I'm sexually attracted to here at work, I'd get written up for sexual harassment and inappropriate conduct. We all know that. I think most of us in our jobs, if we were to stand around talking about sexual attraction and all of these things that are very, private and individualized topics, we would all be accused of sexual harassment here at work. So why is it okay for an adult to talk to a child, a minor, on taxpayer property? It's not, and we know that. And the solution for being inclusive is to treat everyone with the golden rule. Treat others the way you would like to be treated. Be kind no matter what. Have a zero tolerance policy at schools where if someone gets bullied, the bully gets in trouble. End of story. Oh, but no, we can't do that in California because we're all for restorative justice in schools, right? Right. All my Californians know me. Once again, tell me where you're at. I'm Jill Simonian with PragerU Kids, just bringing to light what's happening in LAUSD this week with Coming Out Week. We've got a whole curriculum toolkit created by LAUSD officials to talk for adults, to talk to minors, children as young as 4, about sexuality. Reasonable parents and teachers know this is inappropriate. I just want to take this one step further and ask another question about this National Coming Out Day curriculum that is created. How much time does this take out of the classroom per day? I know a lot of teachers. Some of the people I love the most in my life are teachers. And let me tell you, they're challenged, to say the least, with educating children on how to read, how to write, how to understand math. A little bit of information about LAUSD. I pulled up this article from latimes.com. This article is admittedly from last year, I believe, December 22nd, 2022. So it's from almost a year ago. But here's the headline: LA students' grades are rising, but test scores are falling. Why the big disconnect? You scroll down in the article, and based on the research, you see that in math, in LAUSD particularly, 73% of 11th graders earned A's, B's, and C's. Okay, fine. But the test scores showed only 19% met grade level standards. For 8th graders, test scores showed that 23 met grade level standards in math. For English, 40% met grade level standards for 6th graders for English. And for 7th graders, when it comes to English, 43% met standards. All of these numbers show us, again, and I know that you can slice statistics any which way, but when you look at different research that goes across the country, less than half of students across the country, generally speaking, elementary through high school, are meeting proficiency standards for math, English, and history, and civics. Let's not even get started about how 8th graders, 13% of 8th graders across the country, according to the Nation's report card last year, 13% of 8th graders knew how our system of government could work and could name historical figures and their purpose in history. So kids are not learning what they should be learning in order to have a productive and successful life. Yet LAUSD is insisting on National Coming Out Day curriculum. It's funny because people say, well, California's crazy. All right, I'm not going to argue with you. California, what happens in California, what starts in California, often bleeds to the rest of the country. And we know that. And it's funny because I'll share a personal story with you. For years, I have been bringing to attention this gender unicorn, and I have it pulled up on my screen. There's a graphic that is known as the gender unicorn. And a few years ago, when I first started working for PragerU Kids, this graphic started being circulated in many of my social media scrolls. And I took a look at this graphic, and you can look at it if you're on the screen, and it talks about gender identity, and it talks about gender expression, sex assigned at birth, and physically attracted to, emotionally attracted to. And this is a graphic that many schools were starting to use, the gender unicorn. Very confusing about how your biological gender doesn't have to match up with the gender you identify with. And this gender unicorn was circulating around, and all of us here on the PragerU and PragerU Kids team started discussing this online, and we were slapped with how we were exaggerating and how we were making this up and how no one is sharing this gender unicorn across school districts. And now, 2 years later, people, parents, teachers, I get DMs quite frequently saying, my child was shown the gender unicorn graphic in school and I didn't find out about it till after. Glendale Unified School District here in Southern California is currently undergoing ongoing discussions, parents at the school board meeting saying that third graders a couple years ago were being indoctrinated with topics that they should not have ever been introduced to by a teacher without parental consent. One of those things involved this gender unicorn. One of my own relatives a week ago was at my house and said, "Oh my gosh, my son's school sent me this graphic called the gender unicorn." And I looked at this relative of mine and I said, "Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've been shouting this for 2 years." And bless her heart, she looked at me and she said, "What do you mean for 2 years?" I said, "This is what we told everyone was coming down the pike in schools." And nobody believed us. But sure enough, her son's school, her son is in the 8th grade, and a little over a week ago, they sent the gender unicorn graphic home to parents and said, "Guess what? We will be discussing this in your child's classroom next week." They didn't ask, this is a private school. This is a very, very expensive private school, by the way. Very expensive private school by the name of Polly in Pasadena. I'll just say it. And the parents had the option to opt out. Okay. But why aren't parents given the option to opt in? These types of directives, like LAUSD's coming out day, the gender unicorn graphic being distributed in schools, these should all be opt-in efforts, as opposed to the schools saying, "Hey, we're doing this, and you can opt out if you want, but if you opt out, you might be ostracized, and then we'll identify you as a bigot or a bully." Just think about that. Parents, when you go to your school board meetings, present the opt-in option. That's my big suggestion for today. Anyways, let me take a look at the comments, see where everyone's coming from. Let's see if I can even pull up the comments and find out how everyone's doing. I know that the world is terribly tragic and upside down right now with what's happening in Israel. My prayers are going to Israel, as well as my own homeland of Armenia, because there's been continuous turmoil there for the past 2 years. But we all know that the world is upside down, and it is a situation of good versus evil. Let's take a look at the comments. Alan, opt in or opt out. It shouldn't be there. Thank you for the call. Thank you for the comment, Alan. Stephen, oh my gosh, it's Karen Live. No, Stephen, it's not Karen Live. And that's very funny and, witty of you to say it's not Karen Live. First of all, my name's Jill. Just kidding. It's not Karen Live. It's called being a parent with young children and being reasonably minded to really recognize what is appropriate in schools and what is inappropriate in schools. And Stephen, my perspective comes from the fact that children are not learning knowledge that they should be equipped to have upon high school graduation. Several months ago, news broke that New Jersey, the state of New Jersey, lowered the high school graduation requirements so that they could actually have more than half of their high school students graduate, because had they kept the high school requirement, had they kept the high school graduation requirements the same, they would have had a terribly dismal graduation rate. So we're seeing a lowering of standards from education systems across the country because our children are not being educated to read, to write, to be proficient in math so that they can graduate high school. So the education system is lowering the standards. And I just don't understand, Stephen, why a school district the size of LAUSD, with millions upon millions of students, that has students failing educationally, would insist on spending time educating children about National Coming Out Day for children as young as 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, when they should be learning how to read and write so that they can graduate and get jobs. That's all. OMG, it's Karen Live. I actually laugh when people put comments like this. LAUSD should be sued. Another comment, Linda, because they're not teaching the students, they're just passing them. That's true. Social and sexual indoctrination, these people have no business around children. I don't disagree with you, Brad. Thank you. Alan, thank you. PragerU, you're most welcome. Anyways, and they get mad at us, by the way. We're lambasted on social media. Governor Newsom sends tweets out about how we educate children about how Christopher Columbus discovered the North American continent. We say Christopher Columbus was never a perfect person. We know that atrocities did happen during the time of Christopher Columbus. Atrocities happened around the world. They've always happened around the world. But Christopher Columbus sailed to the North American continent and created a pathway, so to speak, for the eventual establishment of the United States. And yes, children should learn about how Christopher Columbus, it's ridiculous, but no, let's teach children about the gender unicorn, and let's put little icons where their private parts are, as you can see on the screen. So that's all I have for today. Be advised, if you live in LAUSD, you are not filled with hate if you publicly certify with your school board or your teachers and educators at your LAUSD school that teaching children about sexual identity is inappropriate for the classroom when less than half of the kids are proficient in math and English. You are not a bigot. No one here hates the gay community. I certainly don't. But what I do have a major problem with is our education system overstepping their bounds. And that is, and not educating children. And that is one of our whys for creating PragerU Kids, because our children are no longer being educated with knowledge. If you haven't subscribed for free to PragerUkids.com yet, please subscribe. We have videos about history, financial literacy, civics, how our system of government works. We have educational magazines about historical figures, presidents, women of valor, all on our website for free. Here's our website right here. Kids shows you can trust. All of these shows do not touch on politics. They do not touch on sexual identity. They are focused on teaching truth, facts, supported by original documents. If you saw our Facebook Live last week, you know that. You know what I'm talking about when I say supported by original documents. And it's for the sole purpose of uniting us and our children together as Americans through our differences, gay, straight, black, white, anything you want to say. We are united as Americans together first, e pluribus unum, together as one. And PragerU Kids is committed to educating children through that. So subscribe at PragerUkids.com. Thank you for your time. Always leave your comments. Stay informed and active with your child's education, especially in LAUSD this week. See you all next time. Bye-bye.